Herzlich willkommen hier aus Unterföhring, der Heimat von meinem Bowling-Shop, zu einer neuen Ausgabe unserer Interviewserie. Heute haben wir zu Gast Christopher Sloan aus Irland. Hi Chris.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good.
Und wir werden uns heute ein bisschen unterhalten. Ich werde keine Untertitel machen, wir werden uns in Englisch unterhalten. Und ja, wir werden jetzt einfach loslegen und wenn ihr Fragen habt, einfach unten in die Kommentare und ich werde dann mit Christopher in Kontakt treten und werden diese dann beantworten. So, Christopher, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Here for the European Men's Championships. This is my second time in Munich in the last couple of months. I was here in March for the Euro Challenge, and then I'm going to be here the end of next month for the Track Open. So I get to come here quite a lot. I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah. What do you think? What's your goal for the European Men's?
I have to say, I'm just going to try and take it as it comes. I've been bowling pretty good. Managed to have some time off. I got a small injury a couple of weeks ago, so I've been kind of nursing that back a little bit in my leg. It's not so bad anymore, but I just felt a twinge up a little bit there yesterday. But practice today went well, or well, most of my practice today went well because we missed the first couple of minutes for minor details. But yeah, like I'm happy enough with my ball choice. The pattern is going to be tough, and I really like when they're hard. Like so, we'll see how it goes.
And it will be hooking, what I heard.
Yeah, like they're using that new that new kegel oil, and it just seems to get the ball to hook so soon. And I think it creates a lot of push in the middle part of the lane as the block continues. But from the get-go, they are hooking so early. Like normally, like this center hooks a lot anyway, and now they're using oil that's making it hook even more. So I think it's going to be a great challenge for everybody. I think it's going to get a lot of players out of their comfort zone for a start, but I'm hoping that, you know, I play smart and hopefully catch a couple good pairs and follow a couple different people that are breaking them down right, and makes it a little bit easier.
Do you feel that they flat out the lanes? They did the last 4 weeks, so they prepare the lanes to be flat again.
Yeah, well, now I have to say I did notice. Normally when I've played here before, I noticed the high end hooked a lot more than the low end. There was quite a lot more similarities pair to pair this time from when we were changing, like in the official practice, especially when we made the switch, because they were using up to, I believe, 44 for official practice, but we're only going to use to 38 in the tournament. And when we were on like 43 and 44, I was saying to the guys, look, relax, it's going to hook a lot more here than it will when we move down there. And then when we moved to the other pair, it was pretty much the same. So that was pretty good, because usually we'd be making some kind of big adjustments going from pair to pair in a centre this big. With the Euro Challenge normally has, you know, 100 people in a squad too, so everyone's playing them different. Like, so yeah, they're definitely a little flatter. I think the scores will be quite low. I was talking to a couple of guys. They all think that the scores are going to be medium to high. I don't know why. Maybe it's just I like my championships low scoring, so maybe I'm just getting a little bit wishful hoping, but I think it's going to be low scoring event. Okay.
And we also have the Track Open coming, and as experience-wise, the patterns are getting really tough at the Track Open. Do you think the flatter lanes does affect the scoring pace at the Track Open?
Yeah, I think it's going to make it a little lower. And honestly, I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of playing on them when they're as hard as they can be. I played the Track Open every year the last couple of years, and I love it just based off the fact that it's so difficult. You know, it's a really good challenge because you really have to focus on your shot making. Your ball selection comes into it. Like, ball motion nowadays is such a major part of the game that it can take certain, and I don't want to take this away from anybody, but like it can take a little bit of the skill involved that used to be there on the flatter patterns, and that ball motion can kind of hide that a little bit. So, you know, if someone gets matched up with the right ball in the right part of the lane, they may not be the most skilled player, but they will score. But when the patterns are flatter and when the lanes are certainly more level and flat, it becomes a lot more difficult for everybody across the house, and it then becomes back to shot making the way it used to be.
Speed and
exactly. And you can
consistent.
and you can see that by the people that have won the track open in the last couple of years. Some of the winners are major PBA title holders. One of the best women in Asia won it a couple of years ago. So it's all the shot makers that win that event, and I think it's going to be the same thing this week.
That's cool. So tell us about you. How do you come to bowling?
I don't know how long do we have.
How old are you now?
I'm 25 now, 25 years young, because I'm starting to feel a little bit old. But I've been on the scene for quite some time, especially in Europe. I think I bowled my first Euro Challenge when I was 17, or maybe even younger, maybe 16. So
I played with one hand.
No. Back then I played with two hands. I bowled with one hand for only like a season and a bit back in Ireland. I never played in the European Tour two-handed. I never played anywhere two-handed, because when I initially started bowling, I kind of messed around with two hands a little bit, but everyone was kind of like, oh, you can't do that, you won't make the national team, blah blah blah. And then I looked online and I seen like Belmo and Oscar doing it, and I was like, well, if these guys can do it, I can maybe give it a try. And then I figured I was so bad one-handed that I wasn't going to make the national team anyway, so I had nothing to lose. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to give this a try. First couple of years I got picked over from the national team, which was a little bit upsetting. Actually, to my first European youth would have been here in Munich. I think that would have been 2010, or maybe even 11, yeah.
Must be 11,
so
yeah.
that would have been my first European youth, but I got picked over at the time, and I think a lot of that had to do with I was, two-handed. I was the only one in the country at the time, so I just decided to get a little. I'm a very stubborn person, very, very, very pig-headed, we say. So I stuck at it, and I just said, okay, I'm going to get this, I'm going to really, really focus on it, and I just decided to practice, and I started gradually kind of seeing a little bit of increase, and well, now I get to bowl for a living, like, so.
So you bowl for a living now?
Yeah, now I do. I used to run a strain of pro shops, I'm still involved in shops, but I'm mainly going to bowl for a living now, so. It's the PBA Tour this year is, they signed a new deal with Fox. I signed with the PBA maybe 7 or 8 years ago, because I knew everything when I was 17 and nobody could tell me any different. So when I was 17 or 18, I was like, no, now is the time for me to join the PBA. I can compete with all these guys. It was the craziest thing I ever done. It was the silliest thing I ever done, because I will never forget when I went to my first World Series. Now, I'm not exactly a shy person, I'm a talkative person. It's not that I'm confident or cocky or anything like that, but I just like that type of environment. And when I went to the World Series bowling, I think it was in Vegas, it was my first one, I was 17, I got put in a pair with Pete Weber and Norm Duke, and I just froze. Like, I was just like, whoa. I was like, okay, now it's real, you know what I mean? And it wasn't.
I think it was the same year that I played the World Series the first time.
I think so as well, because I think you stayed in the stratosphere, right? You stayed down. Yeah, I thought so, because when I played that event, it really taught me, like, alright, you kind of need to grow up a little bit, you know what I mean? I was like, this isn't the deal. So I played the World Series, and then I was terrible for the most part, and then I went back the next year and I was slightly improved, and then I was like, alright, I'll go back again. And unfortunately, I had a family member pass away, so I didn't actually go to the next one. And then, like most people, life took over. I ended up moving country. I moved to Sweden, and I had some pro shops going, and I had work all over the world, and before I knew it, I kind of wasn't practicing as much. I was still practicing, but I was tired, because you don't want to do 9-10 hours in the pro shop and then go practice is the last thing you want to do. Like, well, you're definitely gonna know that sitting in here, like, you know. But I am.
When somebody know, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can vouch for that. But I decided that we had a European men's in Aalborg a couple of years ago, and just before that is when I was really like, okay, now I'm gonna start trying to, take a lot more serious and up the training and stuff. Now, I still had the shops at the time, but I decided to really get focused and train a little bit differently. I went to a couple of different people for training, kind of broke the routine, and the last couple, maybe 6 to 8 months, I've started to see a little bit of success from that. Like, and the European Men's Championships was like 5 years ago, so like putting in that work then, I had like 4 years of banging my head off the wall after that, on top of the 5 years I had banging my head off the wall before that as well. So it's yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy ride. Like, it's very much so like spend 4 years fishing and not catch a fish, and then the 5th year you will catch a fish. So that's kind of the way that I'm living at the moment, and I'm starting to have a little bit of success now, so I decided, well, now I can't stop, because that would be crazy. So
yeah, because you just got your biggest success on PBA with the USBC Masters. Yeah,
USBC Masters was very bittersweet for me, because I Man, the start of the season this year was
horrible for you.
Oh,
right?
it was bad. Like I had a couple of different things going on, and then I think mentally I started to try and use them as kind of excuses. Like I could have got away with them not, you know, hindering my bowling as much, but I think mentally I was a little weak and I wasn't working on the right things with the right people, and I was just kind of like, maybe subconsciously I could use this as an excuse. And I decided that, actually, funny you should say that, right? When I came here for the Euro Challenge, I decided, I was speaking to my girlfriend at the time, and we both had a laugh about it, and it was the Wednesday or the Thursday. My birthday was on the Sunday. I was turning 25, and it sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but I am nuts. So I said to her on the Thursday, I said, when I turn 25, I said, I'm going to stop being the way I am. I'm going to become a lot more mature. I'm going to get everything right, and I'm just going to have to learn to, you know, what I've done here is irrelevant. It's right now. That's important. And she was like, okay, fine. And then I went and I missed the cut at the Euro Challenge, so I definitely had Sunday off to chill, to think about it. So I sat around the whole Sunday, watched everyone bowling in the Euro Challenge and stuff, and I cut open my hand pretty bad. I had a really bad injury. It happened in just literally the day before the World Series of bowling, which was very unfortunate because I was kind of coming around to things, you know, but I was then silly enough to bowl like 60 or 70 games here at the Euro Challenge, which obviously didn't make it any better. So I waited on the Sunday, the Monday, I stopped and I just kind of took it easy. I was like, you know what, I won't bowl. I didn't bowl the first practice session at the USBC Masters because I couldn't, because I had to fly out from here. And when I got in, I just threw a couple of shots and I just kind of took everything as it was in front of me, and I looked at Steve Jacobs, our ball rep, and I just said, you know, man, I was like, I'm just going to relax, I'm just going to try bowl this week. And it was the first time the whole season where I just felt like I was out there bowling. I wasn't trying to perform, I wasn't trying to do any crazy stuff, and I wasn't trying to prove myself. I was just out there kind of like being, and it was the easiest that it had ever been. And the only time where I had a little bit of a flashback to what I was doing was I was playing Michael Holloman in the, I want to say it was the match in the winners bracket before, if I won that match I was guaranteed the 1 or 2 seed on TV, and I was playing Michael Holloman, and I hadn't shot out less in match play than like 660, and that was a pretty good score because the lanes were tough, you know. And I was like, okay, I have a good ball reaction, this is fine. So they dressed all the pairs, and then they leave one pair free in between in that round, and then when you win your match you move on to the pair that's been dressed. So we moved on to it, and I thought, okay, it's fine. I was like, the lanes are dressed, this is good. And I went on and threw a couple of shots, my power reaction was just gone, and I looked at Steve and I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I don't have a good look. And he said, you know what, just relax, why don't we try urethane? So I thought, okay. I went up and I threw urethane. It must have been the best shot of my career, and it got 5. And I kind of had a little bit of a flashback moment to like 2014, 15, 16, 17 and 18 to an extent. So I got a little mad, but I was able to dust it off pretty quick. I'm working with a good guy at the moment on my head, so it's kind of let me chill out a little more. Everyone knows I'm kind of intense when I'm on the lanes. You know, for a small guy I tend to be a little hard to be around when I'm bowling, like, so I do know that. I think that's just years of like frustration setting in. Okay. I think now that I kind of woke up when I was 25, and it was like an epiphany. It was like I woke up when I was 25 and I was just like, it sounds so dumb, even me saying it sounds crazy, but I was like, you know what, I'm not going to be like this anymore. I'm just going to go, I'm going to bowl, I'm going to enjoy myself, and I'm just going to, you know, let it be. And then,
but I think that's the point when success comes in.
Yeah.
When you're a young man and you realize, okay, I have 2 options. Yeah. Stay as it is and be not really, how to say, not really good, focused, or I'm changing and I'm just having fun, and playing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the same way in my decision when I played the World Series a couple of times. Then I played a lot of tournaments, and then I decided for myself, okay, I have to shop. Yeah, doing the shop or playing bowling. Yeah, and I realized I cannot be the best in the world because I have so much effort, so much work to put in to get to that spot. Get there. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And because I'm not that talented than the other guys. Yeah, I get what you're saying. That was the reason why I decided. Pretty good in the Desperados and all the tournaments that are ever. I'm still Mr. Desperado in Europe, I think. Yeah, it's not so bad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I remember. I think it was I hadn't had to play Desperado for a while, and I think you snuck in. I think it might have been
it might have been the Euro Challenge last year. I don't know when it was, but it was pretty. Your stats in the Desperado are pretty crazy. Like of when you need to get it and get into it, it's pretty crazy. It's funny, like.
I don't know why, but I think it's because I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty lucky guy.
Yeah, but I feel like that's missing so much now. Like
I remember Vienna Open.
Oh yeah,
I make 7 years in a row in the Desperado.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Actually, because man, Vienna Open. It's a shame that's gone as well, because that was such a good tournament. I love that tournament. The first time I played in Europe against the big guys was Vienna Open, and I played on the pair I remember I crossed at the time was with Sean Rash, Mike Fagan, and I mean, truthfully, at the time, I was blissfully unaware of what I was doing. I was bowling really good. I couldn't even tell you. I think I finished like 6 or 7 that year, and it was like my first time doing it, and everyone was like, these lines are really hard, and I was just kind of like, okay, I just kind of had one of them dog day races, you know, but I made it as well in the Desperado, because I had because the Desperado score that year was so high, because I had the front 8 or something like that, and I looked around and I was like, okay, I have the front 8, I'm probably going to be fine here, you know, and I looked around and someone had like the front 7, someone else had the front 8.
And I think that was the year somebody played 300. I also made it in this year.
Yeah.
And I think Stu didn't make it with 276.
I think that's correct, because I got the first one in the 10th and then went like 6 or something, and I had 286, and I was like, oh, I'm obviously fine, and as I was walking down the line, I was like there was like 2 or 3 people in the 10th frame could have went around me, and I was like, this is crazy. This is insane.
That was, I think, one of the highest Desperados I remember. There was a crazy Desperado in Istanbul. I played Istanbul Open in that year, and the scores were like...
High?
Yeah, that was the year where Martin Larsen played 16 something.
I don't remember that. Oh,
and it was like 12 lanes or 14 lanes or pretty small center, and we were like 6 persons per lane. Yeah, what? Yeah, the Desperado take like 2 hours. Man, because one game.
I bowled the Istanbul Open twice. I don't know when. Actually, a video came up on my Facebook timeline there, and someone had tagged me in a video from like 9 years ago of bowling two-handed, and it was like the worst thing I've ever seen. And it makes me like, I hate watching videos of myself bowling 6 months ago, because I think it was bad, because I'm always trying to improve there and there and there and then. And then the worst part is, I saw a video from like 7 years ago and I looked and I was like, oh, that one wasn't too bad. And then I look at it again and I'm like, oh, it's so bad. But I actually played the Istanbul Open. The 2 years I played it, the scores, I went with my friend at the time, Paul Stott, Irish bowler, and he was pretty good. And we went and he told me...
That was the small guy?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. He told me that the scores were always, you know, really high in Istanbul. It's crazy high, blah blah blah. And I said, okay. And we went, and again, this was back in the time when I was blissfully unaware of all of this. And I went, and I had like 12 over or 20 over or something like that. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna enjoy myself here. You know, I didn't bowl as good as everybody else, and at the time it was enough to make the cut. So I went back after getting all this information the next year, and I thought 12 over will be fine. Like if I have 12 or 20 over again, it'll be okay. And the cut was like 1370 or something.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Yeah. But I was there the year.
But the balls surfaced by itself in Istanbul.
Yeah.
When you played polished balls, they got sanded up.
Yeah, exactly, just like that. I remember who won the year I went. I think Rob Thirlby won. He beat Mika in the semi-final, or in the finals actually.
My first year in Istanbul was Oscar against Bälle in the finals.
Isn't that crazy when you think about it? Like people, like it's a shame because we don't get to see those names out on the European tour as much anymore. Like there you go. Like there's I have Mika Koivaniemi, Rob Thirlby from England. Rob's also won the Euro Challenge, which is insane. And then you have like
Paris, right?
Yeah, Paris. And then you have like Ballmer used to bowl everything, Oscar used to bowl everything. Now I know, I guess Oscar's not here. He would have been here, but the Weber Cup is on. That was a close enough race. But I would guess like, you know, actually the Madrid Open is going to have quite a few pros because the EBT Masters is off the back of it.
And also San Marino.
Yeah, exactly. Which there's a lot of Storm's national staffers go to that event too.
They're deciding playing Madrid and San Marino or San Marino and Munich.
Yeah.
So because we are 3 in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
And just the guys who come from overseas. Or from South Africa, Francois Lowe.
Oh yeah.
They're playing all 3 and they go home.
Yeah, well the ones that are coming from such a distance, it makes more sense because the flight is only going to be like 400 or 500 more for them. So it makes sense to try and win like a lot more money by playing another event instead of just stopping and going home and having the week off. But yeah, like the next couple of events are going to be crazy.
But it's so hard to get the tournaments running. I know now from all perspectives. I was a player.
Yeah.
And when I started Track Open, I was thinking, okay, we do this as I want to have a tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And but it's so hard to handle the players. They don't sign in.
Yeah, I know.
They don't sign in.
And I know.
It's just a small.
I know. I'm guilty for that one too. Like, but that is the thing. We had
in the first year we had like when we start to make the Track Open the first year when I take over it, and we had I don't know, end of June we had like 100 entries.
Yeah.
And I was like going crazy.
Yeah, saying I'm in a lot of trouble here, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden.
And at the end of the day, it was okay. Another 100 players coming in that don't sign in.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but like when I first started bowling the tour, I signed in for everything, and I made sure I signed up for absolutely everything because you were afraid you wouldn't get a spot. Yeah. You're afraid you had no chance of getting in if you didn't sign up.
The problem is the 52 lanes.
Yeah, exactly.
But they think we have space, but
yeah, exactly. People just assume now, you know. Whereas like because you get people booking for every other event, but people are like, oh, 104 bowlers that squad, it'll be fine.
But we don't have it on the Track Open.
No, but you can't. I don't know why people don't sign up for it. I also don't know why people don't play. I understand money and funds and stuff like that, but anyone that's playing the game in any way, kind of competitively, and you know, if you're at those two other events previous to, there's a lot of value in going to the next event also, you know, because if there wasn't, you wouldn't go to two, you'd go to just one, you know, like that's the way I see it anyway. But and I like to play on them when they're pretty hard too, although it's a bad sense of reality the last couple of years because the scores are normally higher in the first two events.
Yes.
And so you can kind of miss a little more. It's a little more forgiving. It's a bit of a bad sense of reality when you go from, you know, being able to aim, you know, a couple extra boards and then you come
when
here.
You see Madrid is normally
huge.
Really high score.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
San Marino is like
very high. Well, actually last year it was very high. Actually last year I think San Marino was the same, or if not higher, than Madrid was. Yeah.
And then you come here and it's like
it's
50 over.
Yeah, I know. It's now like that's what I tried to explain the first time I played this. There's only been something like 8 or 9 1400, something crazy like that, right?
Yeah, we have, I calculate, I don't know, I don't have the exact number, but I think it's like every 500 squads we have won 1400.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's just insane. Like,
and we have the same pattern for the last 5 years.
That's nuts. Like, it's just absolutely nuts. But that should be a massive indicator to people how temperature, oils, all those different things can massively change, because you know if it's hotter, the lanes can play slightly different in comparison to one year when it's say maybe colder and so on, you know what I mean? But you don't have much fluctuation in the cut number.
No, pretty much.
It's always within, you know, a small bracket. It's never going to be
20, 25.
Yeah, exactly. It's never going to be something crazy like it's going to be 160 over, or it's going to be, you know, 20 or 30 under. Like it's always, we always know coming here that, you know, you bowl good, you make your spares. Spares are a big thing at the track.
If you have 100 over, you're in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then if you make 150, and then you're probably a top 8.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting the buys and stuff like that. I've been lucky enough. I'll never forget. It was a couple of years ago. Myself, Pontus Anderson, and Marcus Janssen. We were rooming together. We came here. We drove actually. From Sweden at the time, and we bowled, and we all bowled reasonably well, and we all made the top 8, which is obviously the bye round to the 16, I think it was at the time. So we got into that round. So we were all standing at the back of the lanes, and we were like, yeah, you know, we bowled pretty good, blah blah. And we said, well, here's an idea. Why don't you finish first? You finish second. You finish third. We thought, yeah, okay. And then in that actual event, we ended up finishing 14th, 15th, and 16th because we all bowled terrible in the actual round of 8. But no, I do like it. Like I think it's a great event. I think when they're harder, I just like them because.
Do you remember the EMAX Open?
I do, because I played at the dual lane pattern. I finished third in it.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have 1 year of that, 2 years of it?
One. It was only 1 year.
That's right, because it was low participation. I bowled that.
We had 80 entries.
That's right. That's ridiculous because like
the idea was pretty good.
Yeah, but the idea was great because there was.
We played 4 games on a shorter pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
4 games on a longer. That was the entry.
Yeah.
And then you decided which number you want to race.
Yeah, exactly. But what I don't get about why that one didn't gain so much interest is you have so many people saying, oh, I don't want to play on house patterns anymore, I want to play on harder patterns. And then obviously on the other side you have a lot of people saying, I don't want to play on the harder patterns, I want to play on the easier patterns. But one of those patterns was a shorter pattern, but it was, I can't remember if it was the short or the long. One of them was kind of softer than the other one.
Short.
So yeah.
The short was higher.
Yeah, the short was a kind of higher scoring one, and the long was kind of lower. So it was kind of like a nice medium, you know what I mean? I actually led that event that year. I had the top score, and I think a guy called Dan Boltzum was second, and Marcus Bergenhoff was fourth. Yeah, that's right.
I think I was third or fourth.
Yeah, because I remember at the time Marcus doesn't play too many events anymore. He's a bit of a scallywag, as we like to call it. He's a little bit of a troublemaker, so he doesn't play too many events anymore. But I remember he came to that event with me, and that was actually one of the last events that we kind of played together on the tour. But that event was so good, man. I remember that. I lost to a guy called Michael Kramer in the
top 8.
Yeah, no, semi, because I finished fourth, whatever it was that year.
Okay. Yeah, and Michael Kramer was in the final.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and who won that year? I can't. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe put that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, fuck, I don't know who it was either.
I must have a look. I really don't remember who won.
I can't think of who it was actually. Oh, yeah, let me say. There was no, like, because without being funny, it wasn't like there was anyone, and obviously we had to cut this out. There wasn't like there was many really good bowlers that really stand out in my mind that were here.
I don't know.
I have no fucking idea. Okay, well,
good.
We'll swiftly on from
I will find out on that.
But
if I would be Joe Rogan now, I would say, "Hey, find out."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but we don't have somebody.
Yeah, it was. But that was such a good event though, the EMAX Open, and
maybe we'll come back in some time.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I just like them when they're harder. I just don't know why.
But often the problem is for the players that not enough money in the tournaments.
Yeah. Because
now the track open is 45,000, so for overseas just for the event doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But what would happen if you have like a 250,000 prize fund? Do you think it would be full? You see when I see the Euro Challenge, it has like 100,000, a little bit more. Prize fund has like 1,200, 1,300 entries. And if you would say, okay, let's do 250,000 prize fund, same format, everything like the Euro Challenge, or whatever.
See, I would assume yes, right? So the answer to that is obviously, in my mind, yes. That's the first one that comes screaming at me. But like, there's not that many people, you know, bowl for a living, or like the same people that bowl the Euro Challenge. If you put a prize fund out that's like 100,000 first place, and then you put a prize fund out that's 50,000. Now I understand the lower prize funds, you know, the 3s, the 4s and the 5s, maybe sometimes players don't go to and stuff like that. But I don't know how you get more of the, obviously the more money, the more professionals you get, but does that introduce more, you know, amateur players and stuff like that, because they know they're going to be playing against higher level professionals and stuff like that. So I don't know if that is
but if you think about it, if you say, okay, top 100 make money, and
I was like the Ball Master next year. The Ball Master is something like 72 people.
But 150,000, right?
Something like that, yeah. I think it's 30,000 first, and I think it's like...
It's very top heavy.
Yeah, it's 30,000 first, and I think like 72nd place gets something like 600 quid, but they're paying out... The USBC Masters is actually a good example, because they pay out to 1 in 3, and there's like 300 people in the field.
Okay. So
they pay out like 100 spots.
Yeah, but that's that tournament doesn't have to live out of the entry fee.
No, of course.
But if you have like, for example, you have 250,000 and you have to get entries to cover that and make it, for example, 100 euros. So you need 2,500 entries or squads.
Which would be breaking all records in Europe, nearly double the records in Europe. This is like 1,312.
But the funny thing is, if you have like 100 spots,
it's possible.
Every pro would play as long as it takes to
make it, because it'll be that amount of money. Yeah, absolutely. Like, it was like when I bowled the Euro Challenge this year, and while I was in between blocks banging my head off the wall, it was, people were like, why are you playing so many squads? Now I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of asking myself that same question at the time.
But normally a pro thinks, when I make it I can win.
Exactly. Or it wasn't to me that if I just make the cut I get my money back. It was that if I make the cut I can make a run. You know what I mean? Like, we're not kind of, like, I notice, and I truly don't mean this as like an ignorance or an arrogance thing, but I don't know many professionals that when they're looking at what events they're going to, what the cut number for money is, you know what I mean? Like, because yes, obviously they want to cover their expenses and stuff like that, but they want to be looking up like within the top half, because they want to see, you know, if it's 50,000 top, like the Euro Challenge, perfect example. I knew exactly what top 8 paid, I knew what top 16 paid. I didn't really know how far it went down. I used to 100% always look at that stuff because I was scraping to try and make the cut line, and I probably should have tried to do that this year, but I am like, they're looking at what like value for money they can get, because you know, they go home and most of the other people that play the tournament go home and then go to work on Monday, whereas these guys don't. Like, you know, we kind of just, you go, you practice, you do whatever extra bits you do. If a lot of pros now still work, so are affiliated with the pro shops or different pieces like that. So the money that they make, they're trying to make the highest percentage profit, the same way, you know, you would working in any form of business. So that'd be the way I'd look at that. Like, I would say surely the amount of money like dictates the field.
But I'm not pretty sure if you can run a tournament like that, because at the end of the day, it's a business. Running a tournament.
Yeah, of course,
if I make profit, I make profit, and if I don't, I lose money. But it's not an expectation. But I don't know if there are. I think you need about 700 players to make it. Yeah. That travel here.
Yeah, individuals. Yeah,
I don't know if 700 players come here to play for that.
No, because even the Euro Challenge, even when it's huge, everyone plays 3 or 4 squads, but they.
You have to make it over 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And
because I calculated it. If you make space for example 3,500 squads. Yeah. You have to have a little room. Yeah. So you need, when you make 4 a day. Wow. You need like.
Yeah, you would. You need 2.5 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't make.
But still crazy with that amount of lanes.
Yeah, with 52 lanes, you need 4. If you make a math, you need 10 days, 40 squads, and then maybe you need Saturday, Sunday for the finals. Yeah. So you need 2 days for the finals, and then Friday, and then 10 days back. And you get packed on every squad. What do you think about the women's handicap? In my opinion, first, I think women's handicap is not good.
Okay.
Because when we play in the same field, there are a lot of good women that are not really bad, and especially for players that are not professionals, it makes no sense that they get handicap and the professionals and the bad players don't, just because they're men. Yeah. What I think it's really, really bad is the fight between WTBA and ETBF. Yeah. I think that's the worst scenario in bowling what can happen, because I understand EVT, why they do that, to save the tour, but I think that hurts the tour more than...
I also think so. Over the last maybe 6 to 8 months, I actually get asked this way too much. I'm asked about this quite a lot, and I discuss it very openly too. I think it's a very easy solution. It's a very, very simple solution, but for whatever reason, it's not being introduced, and I don't know. Oh my fucking god! I don't know why it's not being introduced. That's how excited this area gets me like right now. I don't get why it's not being introduced. If a woman holds a PWBA card, she doesn't get 0 on the European or the World Tour, because nearly all the women that are making the finals and are, you know, like last year, this year not so much with the European Bowling Tour, there's been as much controversy. Last year there was a lot of controversy. Start of the year, Bernice, my partner, actually won in the AIK, and I think it was...
Almost also won by Bowman.
Exactly, and then...
Euro Challenge.
And the Euro Challenge, and like, those girls can bowl. You know what I mean? They can flat out bowl. But every single one of them has a professional woman status card. So I don't understand why, if it's a professional woman, they can have 0 and the amateur women can get that. Because I am 100% convinced that it is unfair for the likes of Liz Johnson, the greatest woman bowler of all time, to come in and play a tournament and be scrutinised by people saying, oh, she has 8 pins, that's silly. It's not fair. Liz, if she is being given 8 pins, she should absolutely take 8 pins. If they can't give me 8 pins to play the Euro Challenge, I'd take it. You know what I mean? Of course I'd take it. But the scrutiny that's put on the women really isn't fair. But the line is so tidy that, like, there's not many women that aren't professionals or that aren't unbelievable at bowling. Like, I know there's some of the Asian national teams and stuff like that don't have PWBA cards, but there's not many women outside of that bracket that are making the cuts, that are, you know,
maybe some Asian
taking a lot of the prize money out. So I would imagine the argument kind of goes away if a woman holds a PWBA card, she withdraws her right to the 8 pins. That way she doesn't have the option of going in and saying, you know, oh well, the tournament just gives me 8 pins, I'm going to take it. Of course I'm going to take it. Why wouldn't I take it?
How to control it?
But that's the only thing.
Because for me, as a tournament director,
yeah,
I don't know if she is a professional or not.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's the only thing. That'd be then. There's another way of doing that they have to get checked on the desk. But then you go back to the old school ways of when everyone used to check licenses and stuff like that, and then then people get shied away from that. But I just feel like the women that are bowling now, some of them absolutely school some of the men. Like, they're so good.
Yes.
Maybe the reason that it was introduced back in the day was to keep, women involved, and the standard of the women maybe was a little less than the men. I truly don't know. That's only me being outspoken. But now, especially with equipment and stuff like that involved as well, and some of the techniques now, like
you see Daria.
Yeah, like Daria's a very, very close friend of mine, and like she can loop the lane more than probably 70% of the field downstairs. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, there's so many women like that now, and the more when Daria's as active as she is on Instagram and social media and all that stuff, she's only gonna get bigger. So kids are only gonna want to bowl more like her.
Yeah.
So we're gonna end up having, if they don't come to a good solution, I don't know what the solution is. In my opinion, the solution is if they have played more than, say, X amount of PWBA events, because it might not be fair to say just have a card, because if you just have a card, I think for some of the women's event you need a card to play one event, like say the Women's US Open. I think you need a card. So I don't know if she should be fully punished if she wanted to participate in that, but you could do it like they do it in the US with college bowling. If you play more than 5 professional events, you're not allowed to do college bowling. So, you know what I mean? Or there's 2 years or so on and so on. Again, how do you police it?
It's so thin. The line is so thin to make the right decision.
Yeah.
I would when I would be ETBF or WTBA, WBA.
Yeah.
I would say keep the decision at the tournament director. Keep it. They have the decision to give 0, 4, 8, not more than 8. But they have the decision to do that.
Well, what if you come across a couple of tournament directors that say one either just really like
because then it's in the interest of the tournament director. If I would do,
well, like the way I look at it is the tournament manager has the final say of everything that goes on in the event, but they're also given a script to read by either the ETBF or World Bowling and stuff like that.
But now the tournament have to decide if I'm going World Bowling Tour
or if you're going
or European Bowling Tour.
Yeah, like that's
so they lose the Lucky Larson, the European Bowling Tour.
Yeah, actually,
and the World Bowling Tour lose the Euro Challenge.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to hurt each other.
Yeah, I know, and it's definitely not good overall for bowling. The argument that's going on, because I was speaking with Daniel about the women's bonus, actually, the guy who runs the Lucky Larson, and we were chatting about it, and because last year that was the first time I sat down and started to talk about this. We all had a couple of beers and just got brought up, and I jokingly said to him, I says, well, why don't you get rid of it next year? And then he got rid of it, and he texted me, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, you actually did it. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, that it was kind of the first type of a stand to that. And I think I was speaking to him a couple of weeks ago, and I think he said he's down like 20 or 30 women entries on where they were at that time. You know what I mean? Not overall, so that could still go up.
Yeah.
So like, it didn't really affect it all that much. Like, it's kind of still the same, because I'm pretty positive the Lucky Larson clashes with one of the professional women.
PWBA,
yeah, either their end of tour thing or the event just beforehand. So like, if that event wasn't on, they probably would be at the Lucky Larson. Like, it probably would be 20 or 30
because
more
the good women don't care.
No, exactly.
It's
like,
just because of the not so good.
Yeah.
I see your point with the if you have a card then you don't get it.
Yeah.
But I would do it if I have a harder pattern like this, like the track open.
Yeah.
Why you give it 8?
Yeah.
Make it 4, for example.
Yeah.
Just to.
But see, my thing is on it, and I don't understand why they need any pins, and that's the truth, because they're not.
Normally we don't need handicap.
There's no form of like
disadvantage.
Exactly. Like, women nowadays are just as equal as men. They are as vocal in the sport. I saw a thread on Facebook the other day about some nonsense to do with there wasn't enough women at the ETBF Congress thing that they have here and so on. And yeah, alright, I saw a little bit of both sides of the story. I got the guy who mentioned it was, I think he was trying to say, like, I actually think he was initially trying to be like, you know, very pro women, and I think he ended up getting it flipped around on him and it didn't go so well. But I get what he was saying, that yeah, okay, it would have been nice for more women to be there and stuff like that. But then I saw the other side of it where people were saying, well, more women don't need to be there as long as decisions are made based off what's in front of them and not involving gender and, you know, stuff like that, which I get. But I don't see any difference. Like, if I'm bowling on the lanes with the likes of, again, let me just say, Liz, you know what I mean, Liz Johnson, like, she could beat me every day of the week if she wanted to, and I gotta give her 8 pins, like, and I play. So what would introduce an amateur or someone that doesn't play a lot to want to play an event where they get those pins, you know, and
just for free? And
I don't understand what type of a lesson that's teaching either as well, you know, that it's not the women's fault that they have the 8 pins.
No, it's not.
It absolutely isn't that.
And it wasn't fair what they do after your challenge with Jenny.
No, I don't believe. I don't believe so. I think the way that was phrased was a little bit. Yeah, it was a little bit distasteful, and the harsh side of that I see as well is with social media nowadays. It's so easy to get on somebody's nerves, because I know, like, Jenny replied to it on Facebook, and in my opinion, it's the worst thing you can do. It is social media is the best and the worst thing that's ever happened to society. End of story. Because what she said was correct, but correct by the rules, but it wasn't perceived correct by the mass society that is today. You know what I mean? And I get that. Now, I don't think the way they done it was right at all, and the way that they published it. But you know, that is the idea of media. They want to try and get your attention with whatever way they can. No, because actually, and not to be on the fucking me and Simon are really close friends, like the best friends, and when we were I think I was watching from the balcony there, and Simon was bowling Jenny in the title match, and I went down and I kind of just had a quick chat with him about one or two things, and you know, it's not fair that he had to finish the match and have the same score but lose. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's not fair. But then it's not fair to blame Jenny
for the rule.
For the rule.
Yeah.
Like, as I said, I would take the 8 if they offered it to me, but I don't know, it's such a fine line. I don't know how they fix it. I'm a big fan of, if they have a pro card, if they've played 5 events in the season, or like 3 events, because there's maybe not as many PWA events, if they play 3 events in the season, they don't get the cap for that year, because that'd be an easier way of managing it. Because the Asian teams go over for, like, Bernice just went over for 6 weeks, so like they played however many stops.
But in my opinion, if I could decide, I would destroy Handicap.
I'd get rid of it completely.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
No bowling event should be Handicap involved.
No.
Doesn't matter if you are 130 average player or 100 average player or 250.
No, exactly.
There's no Handicap, because this Handicap destroys the sport, because I had a guy who won a local tournament, and he's a 150 average player. He got like 40 Handicap, won the tournament. Because he played 230 in the finals, then he get 40 handicap or 30, I don't remember. Then he come back, and I said, okay, let's go practice. Oh no, when I practice, I get a lower handicap, and if I get a lower handicap, I can't win. And the score is...
And that's the worst possible outcome, because people then think, well, there's no need for me to practice, so they don't get involved knowledge-wise into the game. They don't learn about bowling balls, they don't learn about the oils and stuff like that, and that actually kills the technical and the sport side of it. You know what I mean?
And it's getting so important now.
Yeah, massively. Like, honestly, like, I cannot believe in, like, I certainly ain't old, okay, and I know I'm not exactly a young spring chicken anymore, but I can't believe from when I started, when I had no information about bowling or whatever, to now with the amount of information that I do have. But I also can't believe the development in the information and the technology and so whatever. Like, now, this may not seem very long ago for you and stuff like that, but the virtual gravities, when they came out, they like that blew my mind. Like it was the most hooking ball in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and
no, that
like
that days, yeah.
Yeah, and now they would be like so clean now. And, well, they wouldn't be so clean, but they're like in comparison to certain other balls, like in our global line, the Inception DCT, it just soaks oil, or it just absorbs oil off the lane. It just picks it up and it goes. Like the stuff is so strong, and people are seeing like the balls hooking in different ways and stuff like that. And I think now it's so much more important to read the lanes front to back instead of left to right, you know, because there's some, like all the equipment's hooking earlier because the cover stocks are stronger, the cores are bigger, different things like that.
And I think a big problem that I see also today, and when I talk to guys coming here, they don't see reaction. They don't see ball reaction. No. They have no clue.
That was one thing, the guys that are on Team Ireland in the lead up to this event, we started to train a little bit more and more and more, and luckily the way the tour ended, it ended in March, so I was home for like the whole month of April. So like all the times when I went to sessions and stuff like that, the stuff that I said to them that we'd work on is we just look at, like I said, look, you have the physical games you have now, I ain't a coach. I said, let's just look at your ball motion. Now, as Steve and a lot of other guys on the PBA tour will tell you, the ball reps that I may am not the best person to talk about it when I'm actually physically bowling, but I said to the guys, we got to sit and we got to look at it, and you got to understand where your ball is hooking. It's not about how it's hooking left or right. Exactly, yes. It's where it's going through the pins, where the ball is actually hooking on the lane, and if it's going behind or if it's going too forward and different things like that.
When it slows down.
Exactly, and like people don't have that side of the game now, and I don't know why, but
because the reaction is just the end thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's just affected because when it starts rolling, what surface you have on the ball, what core you have. Yeah. But it's at the end of the day, you have a phase when it gets contact to changing. Yeah. The move, change direction.
Yeah. When it tips over.
That time frame is the important thing, and the people don't understand it. Oh, many, and if you explain it to them, they just don't get it.
No. I'll be honest, right? I always considered myself a little bit of a whiz when it came to reading ball motion and stuff like that. And then I went on to the PBA tour and realised that I had no idea what I was talking about. And in March, just before I got injured, I went to California and I done some work with Mark Baker. And I've been down the back of lanes, I've been on lanes, I've been, you know, seeing him from the side and stuff like that. And he said, come here, because I threw a shot. And he says, your physical game's fun. He says, you're not having a problem with your physical game. Everyone does this. When there's something wrong, they always go to their physical game. Physical game's wrong. So he says, it's not. He says, throw a shot. So I threw a shot and I struck. And he says, throw another shot. And I threw another shot and a 3-6-10. And I said, he goes, what was bad with them? And I says, well, they were a little different. I says, I kind of hit up on that one a smidge. I says, but it wasn't terrible. He says, come with me. And Mark is a very big man, right? So we walked down the side of the lanes. And he said, okay, he said, show me where 40 feet is on this lane, for an example. And I says, somewhere along there. He says, yeah, okay. He says, it is. He says, and from there, he says, where does your ball start to tip? And I was like, God, I don't know, like somewhere like there. And he said, exactly. He said, there are 2 right points that you picked. He said, but from back there, it looks like that. Yeah. And when he spread his hands like that, like his wingspan must have been like nearly 6 feet. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know what it was. It was like a penny drop moment. It was like, oh my God, my ball is hooked. It is still on like the same boards and stuff like that, but it's like 3 feet closer that way, 2 feet sooner this way, and it's the difference between shooting 300 and 140. Yes. And until you actually physically see that, you just don't get it. And when he done it, it was like I was kind of like, oh my God, I have spent. Yeah, I was like, I have spent so long doing this the wrong way around.
The funny thing on this situation is, okay, you go to a practice session or something, and you're thinking, okay, I know a lot. Then you're like a bubble. Yeah, exactly. And you think, oh no, I'm so small, I don't know.
That was exactly it. Like I've studied a lot of stuff with ball, and I've done drilling courses, I've done a lot of stuff with balls and stuff, and I felt like I was fairly clued in, and by all respects I was, but until I actually saw it and understood it in that way, it all, like everything that I'd ever studied or looked up, when I physically saw it, I understood all of this straight away, because it connected.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. It just all came together, and I truly think that's one of the things, like, people just don't understand the ball motion, and I don't know how you're going to teach that. I don't know how a coach can teach that unless, that's why, like on the PBA tour with ball reps, we don't have coaches, because like most people that get onto the PBA tour, for the most part, are like really well put together physical games already, and they just kind of, I'm not taking the job away from the ball reps, but when the ball rep is able to put the likes of, say, I don't know, EJ Tackett in the right part of the lane, he is going to strike every time, or get close enough to it, you know. And then same with Simon. But they can also stand with the wrong ball in their hand or whatever, and then they look just average, which is crazy, because the best players in the world, that really shows the dominance of what Belmo done for so long. Because the ball reps helped him, and he got a little bit more attention from them, but he also deserved it, because like
the chance that he win is pretty high. Yeah,
of course. Like, but he went from like 12 or even 20 different centers, and he was always kind of like thereabouts, and that's crazy. Like statistically, in the type of a sport that we play, to have someone constantly like that. Chris Prather's another one. Prather's stats on the PBA are absolutely ridiculous. In the last couple of months, like, he's a major breakout, and like, I don't know why everyone isn't talking about Chris Prather like he's the new Don Barrett, because in my opinion it's the same thing. Like, he is so good with his hand, his stats, everything is phenomenal.
And he's so smooth.
Yes. Well, he went from, we bowled something a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago now, but we bowled something and he was like fluffing it up the gutter. We were playing, I think we might have been in Jonesboro, Arkansas. He was very far right anyway, and he was like fluffing it, and it didn't look so good, and he went like 2 pin, 3 pin, and he went, I'm gonna change. Moved like, and he's not a massive rev rate player, and he moved like 20 left, understands his ball motion, just kind of dead rolled it off his hand, and he went from that zone to that zone like it was
nothing.
Like he was changing tape, you know what I mean? Like it was crazy.
But that's also, he understands ball motion.
Exactly.
That's also a big advantage of Brett Angelo.
Yeah, exactly. Stu Williams is probably one of the on the Pro Tour is probably one of the people that sees the ball motion the best. Like he understands. That's also why he's in a lot of the roto videos and stuff like that too, because he gets it. You know what I mean? He can see it and he can explain it the best. Like I think as well, Belmo has like an ace up his sleeve in understanding his ball reaction, because he sees. I don't know whether he thinks like, or he is so good that he will just play a part of the lane and he will wait till it comes to him there, or he just sees it so much better. Like he knows what his ball is going to do in the back part of the lane, like as if it's 1 foot away from him. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy seeing those guys being able to control their shapes and all the different things.
Yeah. What do you think about? What do you think? Who's the best player at the moment? Throwing your one hand.
Well, see, it's hard for me. I'm just like I'm quite like I'm always going to be a massive fan of Dom. Dom's a good guy. He's always been a good guy to me and stuff like that. It'd be hard to it's going to be so hard to not say, in my opinion, just from the young gun side, it'd be hard to say Prather, or hard not to say Prather. I really like his game. I mean, EJ, like, how do you not pick EJ? Like, I think the conversation for one-handed bowlers is so like.
But what do you think about the guys who are not competing PBA, like the Korean guys or something?
Oh man, like that's no question. Like
when you see the like left-handed.
Choi. Choi, Park, like these guys are insane. I'm actually going to Singapore next week, so I'm probably going to assume that they're all going to be there. These guys, they throw the ball like, you know, they're putting butter to toast. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like but they're trained athletes, and they're treated like trained athletes. You know what I mean? In their home countries, they practice the same way. You know, you get up and come to the shop and do your full day's work. That's how they do it. They train and they go like that. I gotta say, not on the Pro Tour, Park Jong-woo is my favourite.
Okay. And Pro Tour, Chris Prather.
Probably Prather or Dom. Dom's like edging in front because like he's a close mate and stuff like that, and he was always very good to me, and like, so Dom would edge slightly in front, but at the moment it's gotta be Prather. Like, I think he's so good. He's always thereabouts, and the last couple of months even more so. Like, he won 2 months ago, and then he won last week on the playoffs.
What do you think about Fox PBA?
It's amazing. Truthfully, it's amazing. Obviously, I'm very lucky that my first show happened to be with Fox, but I used to watch bowling all the time. Like, I used to be watching it when I was in school for not so long, because I kind of focused so much on bowling that it always had my attention. And watching the shows, they were good. They were good when they were on ESPN and stuff like that. But the life it's injected into the tour, like the
blue oil. When they introduced the blue oil first, it was a bad idea because nobody understands it.
Exactly.
Now you have
it was difficult as well because of the viscosity. It was quite difficult to get it back off the lane, and as far as I know, it's only the Brunswick oil, or the Brunswick machines that can put down the blue oil. I don't think the Kegel machines put down the blue oil, and I'm not sure if that's something to do with the jets or whatever it is. But like, I made that show in Vegas, and the setup, the actual look of it looks like it's 2019. It doesn't look like it's 2000. Well, I'm not going to say
1970.
Do you know what I mean? Like, now, don't get me wrong, I'd like for it to be more 1970s with the crowd because there's so many people, but like the atmosphere is a bit more of like, kind of like darts or something like that, you know what I mean? And I personally like that atmosphere. I'm a high intense guy and stuff like that, so I quite like that atmosphere. But the shows have been so good. The pure effort and support that they've put in has just been incredible. Like, they've really revamped the tour. You can see it now as well between the players, because a lot of times you get players will go to one stop and maybe not go to another and not go to another. Well, now everyone's going to all of them all the time, you know what I mean? And it did bring in some new people as well, which is, it should absolutely should. I think the deal's only going to get better and better, because
then you have guys like Brad and Kyle.
Yeah, well,
imagine, I just saw, they got me with the one video when Kyle made the show.
Yeah.
They had one with when he beat.
Was it the cheetah?
Cheetah,
yeah, the cheetah. That's right.
When they play each other in the match play, and then he made the show and played and.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And I got goosebumps when I watched it.
I have to say, Brad and Kyle, what they're doing, that is absolutely what we need. Like, podcasts and all that different types of, like, you know, videoing the life so people can see it and stuff like that is the way to go, because now, unfortunately, and I'm literally proving it right now, people cannot get away from their phones. You know what I mean? They can't get away from it, and they don't notice. We don't notice how much time we waste, or not even necessarily waste, but are retaining information that we're not sure of by watching YouTube and stuff like that. So why should we not have people doing that on the Pro Tour? They're doing a phenomenal job, and like, their Instagram is great too, because they put up like little snippets of like what they have on their vlogs, and some of the stuff is like, you know, we had the PBA 50th anniversary last year, and we all get to go out, and we don't get it very often where we get to do these things, but we all get to dress up, go in suits and go to a banquet and enjoy ourselves. And they put up a snippet of, I think it was Marcus Janssen and a guy arm wrestling at the event, but what people don't get to see very often, all the pros were around screaming and cheering for the arm wrestle, and they were like, come on, yeah, let's go. Like, Jesper was in the video, AJ Johnson was in the video, like Matt O'Grady, myself, like, and it just showed the pros having a good time, like, in life, you know what I mean? And people don't get to see that very often.
Yeah.
You know?
They don't see the real
side of it. Yeah.
And it's the same. When I watched the video, I decided, okay, we have to do something with videos, because we have to transport information more. Yeah. We have to. It's commercial.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, absolutely.
But, like this, nobody gets you like this.
No.
When you are far left from you and you see just 10 lanes.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what.
You see him now, and look, I'm definitely guilty of it. Like, you know, being, you know, in my own little bubble when I'm bowling and stuff like that. I'm 100% guilty of that. But I think everyone is that does it for a living, because there is that little bit of animosity or that little bit of frustration that sets in. You know what I mean? Because I don't care what anybody says anywhere in the world. If someone does something for a living and someone that doesn't do it for a living then comes to an event and does slightly better than them, that person will be annoyed at that. Like, Marshall Kemp bowled two-handed here a couple of years ago. Marshall's a great friend of mine, and I actually told him, it was when he damaged his hand, and I told him that he should bowl two-handed. Like, he was going to bowl, and I says, yeah, of course you should bowl two-handed. I was like, give it a try, do it, blah blah blah. And then he done it, and he beat me in the event. And I was like, bro, I was like, what the hell, you beat me? I was like, that's not fair. I've been doing this for like 8 years, and you only have to play in 5 games and you have to beat me, like, you know what I mean? So I think the vlogs are absolutely the way to go.
Yep. We try our best.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. But like, even this, like you should have something where you take people around the shop, because the shop is absolutely ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, it's so cool. Like, there is not many shops that are this size, like worldwide. Korea doesn't count because they're all this size. But like Europe, for example, I've been to shops. I've been to every EBT stop that pretty much there's ever been since I started playing. There's nothing close to this. You know what I mean? Like, that has this setup, even with the memorabilia and stuff like that. Like, that ball is from the World Championships, or the Euro Championships?
World Championships, 2010.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Then you got the jerseys and stuff like that. Like, people should watch the vlog and then want to come in and check that type of stuff out. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens with the likes of, like, pawn stars in Vegas. People go and watch and go into the pawn shop when they go because they've seen it on TV. So we should use YouTube and utilize it the exact same way.
Yeah. So, you're with Global. How does it come?
It's been amazing. They've just been absolutely fantastic to me. They gave me an opportunity last year. I was a free agent for a little while, and I know Wes Pye, the guy who helped me sign, and they've just been great ever since I signed. Like I had all of my best success with the global balls. Like I made the Lucky Larson finals last year. I was throwing a booyah and a badger, and then I got a bronze medal at the World Men's Championships, and I was throwing a Dream On and badger, and then I obviously made the Masters show with them too. So I really like them. The balls, they just seem to see the right spots for me, and I think all round they have a pretty good line.
How can a young player imagine you get the equipment, or do you get paid? Are you an employee from Global? So how does it work?
So the way it works is when everyone starts off, like from the get-go.
As a professional, I don't say about a regional staffer or something. So you're a professional.
Yeah. So we all have different contracts, but there are like tiers of contracts. So you have, say, like obviously international, professional, and then regional, etc. What I do is I represent Global worldwide, but my deal is based off the Pro Tour. So I have to play X amount of events on the national Pro Tour per year, and Global put me into the events, and they arrange everything like that for me. So I have to be at those events, I have to play those events and all that stuff. So like we get all of the new balls, we got to test them and stuff like that before, like Ball Expo and different things. It's a little bit more difficult for me getting the balls because I travel so much, because I try and play every tournament, because I think I'm addicted to it and maybe a little too silly. But I play everything. So like when the balls get shipped to my house, I might not be home for like 3 or 4 weeks. So the new balls that are coming out, I'm actually getting them shipped to Singapore. So I'm gonna get my chance to throw them there next week, no, 2 weeks time when I leave here.
So what is your current bag? What is your favorite at the moment?
Dream On. Dream On, and whether I was with Global or wasn't with Global, I would say truthfully it is the best ball that I've ever thrown, and I have thrown a lot of bowling balls. It's the original Dream Ons, the ones that were released a couple of years ago. The re-releases were really good for me actually on like the cheetah and the shorter patterns.
But they're earlier, right?
They're much earlier for me, so I was able to use them when I wanted to play a little straighter. But the old ones that I have, like I have a bag of 3 of them downstairs, and I was half tempted. We can only register 6 balls, and I was half tempted to register 3 of them, 2 booyahs, and a plastic ball. Okay. So like that ball is just it's phenomenal to me. At the moment, like perfect example, we'll go off what I put in today. I put in my plastic. I put in a booyah. I put in, now this part is not actually very good for marketing now that I think about it, because all my balls that I put in for this particular championships are old. But I put in my plastic, a booyah, dark matter, which I drilled here actually, a Dream On. I put in a X2, which I also drilled here, and I think I put in a drift. So that was just because I felt the way the lane pattern was playing. I wanted balls that weren't as new or as responsive. The Dream On that I put through is that.
And the drift is pretty clean.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of like my options. I wasn't going to register my X2, and which I haven't told most of the guys yet. I actually haven't thrown it on the pattern. I didn't throw it in official practice because it was up in the ballpark, and the ballpark's so far away here that I just kind of went, it'll be okay.
Lazy.
So yeah, pretty much. So it was a last minute decision, because I was actually going to put the badger in because the badger looked okay, but I actually texted Steve just as soon as my practice was done, and I was like, look man, I was like, I feel I'm missing a gap here. I said, it's kind of an all or nothing type of thing. If I go with this, then, and like that shape isn't there, or that part of the lane isn't there, then I could be in a little bit of trouble, because I'm going to have to then do things with my hand or my finger positions to, keep the ball in front of me a little bit more. If the shot is further right, I don't want to only have to have a urethane and a Dream On, so talked about it for about 26 seconds, and then he said put in the X2, so I was like, okay fine. So I was up at the desk and I checked all the other 5, and he texted me, he said put the X2 in. I just ticked it and I handed it in. I said okay, that's fine. So I'm going to see what that ball looks like tomorrow.
Okay, that's funny.
But most of the balls that I use at the moment, my bag travelling internationally, I tend to use the space-time continuum is really good.
Yeah.
I really like that one. I drill that one without a hole just because it gets a little cleaner for me. And then the infinite eon. So normally I compile my bag of 3 of my benchmark balls, which is like, now not benchmark in the sense of, you know, mid-range, but for me benchmark is like a dream on. I then take a booyah, and then I take, a lot of times I take a truth tour. I drilled 2 or 3 truth tours in 2 or 3 PBA stops ago, and they were just absolutely phenomenal for me. So I don't really go anywhere without those 3 balls. And then I normally like to kind of make the other ones up of different numbers depending on whatever the event is. So like
experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like if I'm going to a new event that I've never been to, which at the moment is pretty rare because I played a lot of events worldwide, but I kind of bring a base arsenal. But at the moment, I'd say my bag is a booyah, a dream on, the truth tour, and then I really like the Eon Infinite. It didn't exactly do what I thought it was going to do out the box, so I took a little bit of surface off it and I brought it up a little bit, and man, it just rolls so good for me. For me it rolls like the original Eon that everyone else was able to use. They all had that shape with it, but mine one just I couldn't get that shape with it, and then I drilled this Eon Infinite and I was like, oh, this is really good. So the space-time and the Eon Infinite have been really staple pieces for me. I'll tell you what's really good actually, and this isn't just a sales pitch, this is actually the truth. The Honey Badger purple urethane is very good, and honestly it did surprise me how good it was, because when I first threw it I was like, okay, this is going to be a, you know, another big core early asymmetrical urethane, and it's going to be in play for this pattern and this pattern, and pretty much that's about it. Because me personally, I'm not a fan of asymmetry in urethanes until I threw this, because it was like an asymmetrical bowling ball but continuous, if that makes sense. So like it was able to hook in the front, but then it would kind of blend out and still kind of continue. It didn't die at the end like a normal asymmetrical like bowling ball. Exactly. And I was very tempted to put my, like, it was hard for me not to put my Honey Badger urethane in today, because I did throw it and I thought, oh, this is really close, but I kind of, because of the whole mishap with not getting all the practice on the fresh, I kind of decided to go with a little bit more of a safer play and put the booyah in, and then I went obviously the complete opposite way and just decided to put an X2 in that I haven't thrown yet. So,
do you think it is smart, the rules with the 6 balls?
Nowadays, no.
I think so too, because it's stupid.
Yeah, and I always try my best to be as like politically correct with the things that I say, but I believe nowadays it is too low an amount. Now, whether they want to say that they're justifying that amount of balls because of fairness across the field and stuff like that, I disagree with, because like if this pattern, for example, if the gutter played on this pattern with how dry they are, okay, you could very easily register 2 urethanes, but then you have only 6 balls, so you have 2 urethanes, and say you throw plastic like I do, because I was very close to registering the Honey Badger urethane as well. But when you can't change a ball in or out, which I get that that's the rule, you could cripple yourself for the whole event by putting in 2 shapes that may absolutely not be in there. Now I know the argument may be like, oh well, any shape might not be any good or so on, but I think 8 is like the right number nowadays, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there should be a limit, but if there was going to be a limit, I think 8 would be probably a more round number nowadays.
What I would, can you switch balls?
No, which, but that kind of annoyed me actually now that you have to bring that up, because the world bowling rules are you can't, but the ETBF rules are you can't, because as you know, I came here with like 7 million bowling balls, and at the World Championships in Hong Kong, I brought like 9 or 10 or whatever it was, and I threw urethane, and because urethane looked in play in official practice and it looked okay, and then day 1 of the event it was literally the worst thing you could throw. But I had registered 2 urethanes. But in that event I was able to pull a urethane out, and then I was able to put my other ball in, which that's kind of a good compromise, you know, withdrawing 1 and being able to put 1 in. So when I came here I assumed it was the same thing, and maybe that's a little bit of ignorance on my part. I should have looked that up. but is that not again where we're falling?
But I think 6 balls is not enough.
No, but yeah, exactly.
If I would suggest, I would minimum 12.
I think the problem you have when you do things like that is that the lower income, well, not even lower income, but the lower bowling countries.
But you're Irish.
Yeah, no,
that's not the known bowling country, and it's still working.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I think that's
and nearly all of our field brought 8 balls, because I was discussing with. Now we had very good flights because I was able to. I travel so much. I have obviously status with some of the airlines, and I was able to work out a good deal where we could all bring basically 8 balls and our checked baggage and stuff like that. But I told the guys, I said, look, I said, you're registering 6 because they all filled out their sheets before, or most of their sheets before they left. I said, don't X your sheets regardless. I said, because you might get there and want to drill a ball. And they were like, well, we'll be able to do that. And I said, well, I think so, because you'll be able to sub them in or out. And then for the guys that were only going to bring 6 but were thinking of bringing 2, I was like, bring them, put them in the bags. I said, because the shape is so important nowadays, like so important.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't, pros wouldn't go to a PBA event and drill 100 bowling balls.
And for me, but what you say between countries that cannot afford it or something, Real Madrid is...
I get, I know, I do.
It's...
that was the argument, because when we were in Sweden, when we were in Hong Kong, there was an argument actually outside the pro shop, and I think it was because the rules were slightly either misinterpreted, or I don't exactly remember what it was. I remember I got involved in the argument because I apparently can't stay out of arguments, but we were talking, and it was me, Martin, Marius, and a couple other guys, and we were like, well, there's federations that go to the Worlds that are paid, okay? Like, you know, some of the Asian countries, they're national athletes, they're paid athletes for that event. Like, regardless of, say, any of the Storm staffers or global staffers or anyone being paid staff at the representation, there's not many countries in Europe, if any, that are actual professionally paid, you know what I mean, like to actually be there. So my argument was, well, if I have the means to drill this amount of balls, then I should be allowed to do it.
Yep.
Because if Korea, as an example, have the means to train players 9 months or 10 months in a row, and they're paying for that, and then paying them to basically just worry about the championships,
yep.
How is that allowed but the balls aren't allowed? You know what I mean?
Sense, yeah.
So like,
because we have so much technology in the balls, and
exactly, and like I feel it's a little crippling.
We cut our own balls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I feel it's like a little bit crippling, because, you know, like, you want the best players there, but, and this is the crazy thing about our game, sometimes the best players are not able to be the best players unless they have the right ball in their hand at that time. And now
that's our sport.
I understand to the general public that sounds crazy, and trust me, it is crazy, but that is the game that we play. You have to match up. It's the same way in golf. You have to have the right clubs in your hand.
Ski jumping.
Exactly.
It's skiing or whatever. Curling.
Yeah, you gotta have the right tools in your hand at the time. And if you're being like, I'm not 100% in golf, but I don't think there's a limit to the amount of clubs you can have in your bag.
It is.
There is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, there you go. But
I think so. I'm not in golf either, but I think there is a limit in clubs what you have in your bag. Okay. You're not allowed to use everything. But I'm not pretty sure on that.
Like, for me, 6 nowadays, like, when I started, your average league bowler had 3 balls. Your average league bowler now has 8, 10, maybe more. You know what I mean? And they
6 or 8 balls.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And these are championships that are supposed to display
for the best in
the best in the world, or the best in Europe in this case, as an example. So I think 6 is just, it's not the right number. And I'm not normally the type of person that would be negative about saying something like that. I would always offer a solution, but I feel like I feel like that has to change. I don't know if they will change it, but I feel like that's got to change, because
also business-wise.
Yes.
When I see now, for me, I have to open a shop now, but I can't sell any balls.
Yeah. Because you're basically here to take 5-10 euros for doing things on the spinner and stuff like that.
And for example, if you have countries like whatever, Bulgaria or something, they don't have pro shops. So now here they have a chance to have a professional to fit their balls and everything.
Then they can't throw them in the event.
They cannot throw them, so they don't buy them.
I actually
they missed a chance.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation downstairs at registration about the balls, because I had some undrill balls here, and I was like, okay, when does my ball sheet have to be in by? He says 1 hour after practice, and I says, okay, that's fine, fair. I said, so I can drill these 3 after practice, if that's the case, because that's the way we do it. Like, that's what they do on the Pro Tour. You have a practice session, you decide what balls you're drilling, you go out to the truck, you drill your balls, you come back in the next day. But what I was told was that the ball, when you're presenting a check-in, even if you're not making your official, stamp to say that that's the ball that's going in, that the ball has to be in the way that it will be used in the event. And now my argument about that is that from, say, a one-handed bowler's perspective, maybe not in a couple of months this won't be an argument, but from a one-handed bowler's perspective, is if you had a shape that you didn't really like, you come up to a pro shop, put a hole in the ball, and then when you're registering your ball, because obviously you'd have to have that marked, like, you know what I mean. But he said that I wasn't allowed drill these balls after practice. So if I wanted them, they had to be drilled. Like, I had to show them, drill to them before practice. Yeah. That to me is crazy, because I don't get it. Because if we were allowed, say, 2 or 3 hours, okay, think of this industry-wise. If we were allowed 2 or 3 hours afterwards, now I get it's a little bit more paperwork for them to have to wait on and stuff like that. But if you said because the pattern's hard, right? There is guaranteed 50, 60, 70, maybe 80 bowlers down there that are lost, a little bit in a struggle, not sure what they want to do and stuff like that. Could you imagine if you offered all them the option that they come upstairs and buy or drill a ball? Not all 80 would do it, but 20 or 30 would. Yes. And then all of a sudden the industry is growing again because the shop is getting revenue and income from it, and it goes from there. You know what I mean? So
it would make sense.
Yeah.
For all parties. So
yes.
It's because, and if they want to cheat, they can already, because now it's checked in. They don't have a picture of the layouts.
Yeah.
You can just go up, plug it, and then redrill it.
Exactly.
And there's nothing they can do.
Because on the sheets it doesn't say, that's the one thing on the World Bowling sheets, it says if it's been plugged, etc. But on these sheets it didn't, it just says if it had an extra hole.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously I had no holes in those balls, so if I had just ticked that it said that, I could have just went up and drilled them straight after practice if I wanted to. And
so if you want to cheat, you can.
But it's crazy. Like, it's like, it shouldn't be done like that. It should be done so that, like, look, I think if people are going to cheat and stuff like that in the sport, that one, it's absolutely horrible. Like, I just don't believe in it whatsoever in sport, or well, in anything in life, but in sport mainly, just because I'm a big fan of it. Like, but I don't know why we can't have the option to drill afterwards, because it just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah,
it doesn't make sense, because so many, when I look at Mika Koivuniemen, he played so many tournaments here, and he played his first squad, and after every squad he come up, okay, Manu, make me this ball.
Yeah,
I will have a look, and if I get another shape.
But that's the normal thing to do on the Pro Tour. Yeah. Now maybe every single bowler that's ever bowled on the Pro Tour is doing it wrong, but I don't really see how that could be the case. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's like, I understand that. So actually, Niner Global announced some new balls.
Yeah, that's right. We're bringing out a couple of balls. I'm most excited about one of our new products is actually a polyester ball. It's got the global logo on the side. It's very nice. It looks really good.
It's like it's a clear ball, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like the old one that they had a couple of years ago. Like, but this one has like the design is just so much cleaner and so much nicer. I really like it. Then we got the Flux coming out, which is the new high-end ball. That's a really strong big core, similar core to what's in the Continuums actually. And that's a solid cover stock. That's a bright orange ball, so you will definitely see that one going down the lane from wherever you want to see it. Pretty good.
Ich nehme gerade auf, ich melde mich später. Ich nehme gerade ein Video auf, ich melde mich später. Ciao. So.
Yeah, so like the Flux is going to be your ball for like kind of heavier oil and stuff like that. And now, me personally, I'm really excited about this ball coming out called the Volt. And the Volt, to me, looks like a slightly stronger drift.
Okay.
Sometimes
the drift was too clean.
Yeah, exactly. Like it would just kind of hit the spot and kind of fly past it a little bit. Then we have a series coming out called the Ordnance, which is there's an Ordnance Solid and an Ordnance Pearl. They're actually probably closer to the drift. I think I got them ever so slightly mixed up. They're closer to the drift core.
So stronger than the Afterdogs.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think they're a Series 600. I'm gonna get all these balls next week hopefully and get a chance to test them. They're going live at Ball Expo I believe in 2 weeks. But a lot of our staffers in the States already have them. I'm really excited about the Ordnance Solid because for me it's going to probably fill a gap because it's going to be that ball that's just going to pick up and like not bleed out too much down lane. So I'm planning on not putting too, like I'm probably just going to drill that one without a way hole and try and make it a little bit more continuous. The one good thing for me being two-handed that I really like is I like to throw a lot of symmetrical balls, and 4 out of our 5 new releases are symmetrical balls. So that's a big thing for us, and actually all the balls are 2-piece cores as well. So that's a good thing. Yeah, that's quite good.
The evolution goes back to the 2-piece.
Exactly. Yeah. What I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to throwing the new Ordnance Pearl on top of that solid because I'm hoping that they're going to be the absolute 1-2 combo because the numbers and all that are on those balls are my favourite numbers anyway. So like everyone knows, or well, not as of late because the PBA Tour there's a lot of volume, but like everyone knows I like to get a little bit further left and just kind of stand left and throw a little to the right. Yeah. And I like the numbers on those balls that I know that when I get it to the right, it's going to actually pick up and continue off. Okay. So I'm excited about the new releases. I think Dari is going to be at Ball Expo. Yeah. And I think Barnes is obviously going to go to Ball Expo, but
yeah, I will be there, so maybe
you're going to Expo. Yeah, I'm going to Singapore with the Singapore Open. Me and Simon are playing at Anthony Simonson, and then afterwards we're there for 2 days, doing a two-handed clinic on the Monday and then a two-handed clinic on the Tuesday as well. So
okay. So actually,
call it day.
Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah.
And good luck for the European Mans.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
And we see each other at the track open.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
And thank you.
Cheers, man. Nice one.
Bye bye.
See you.